Well, good morning. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXCX, the best talk in town. We are a growing station. You can also find us on 102.3 FM. We're on Rumble. We're on Truth Social. We're on X. Today, I think I have an important conversation. I know I say that a lot, but I'm really a political activist first and a radio guy second. I don't do this for a living. I do this for fun. I do this because I care about our country and I believe that people getting involved are what will make the difference. And today I am joined by somebody that is both a friend and somebody that, she absolutely works. Her whole family works to make a difference. And today, although this is not the only hat you wear, I am joined by Dawn Wells, and she's representing Moms for America. Welcome.
Thank you, Eric.
So, how did you find this organization? Because you were already politically involved.
So I went to a convention for California Republican Assembly in Bakersfield, and the founder, Kimberly Fletcher, was speaking. So that was how I got introduced to Moms for America.
Well, cool. Obviously, she made it a big impression on you if you went, okay, I know we're not supposed to call them chapters.
A group.
A regional group of Moms for America.
So yes, they're expanding into California. It's a target state for Moms for America. So they're trying to have a lot of groups in California. They have a pretty good presence in Southern California. And there's nothing really in the Central Valley. So when I started my group, I went ahead and made it more of a regional group than a county group. So,
well, that's understandable. You got to start somewhere. The good news is Fresno County and the surrounding counties are generally pretty ripe for this type of organization. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about what does your organization do? What are the main goals?
So promoting liberty, raising patriots, and empowering moms is pretty much the goal of Moms for America. And you can find out all about them on their website, momsforamerica.us. And our chapter, the local chapter, is Central Valley Moms for America, and we meet once a month.
Do you have a website?
We have a Facebook page, a Facebook group. So if you search the groups section, you can find Central Valley Moms for America. And we're also on X, formerly known as Twitter.
As long as it's only one X, it's good.
Right. Yep. So there's a lot going on at the large overview of Moms for America. Right now they have an upcoming gender confusion event. And if you look for genderconfusionevent.com, you'll find it. It's a partnership with Epoch Times. And they're going to show this movie called Gender Confusion. And then they have a panel of people that are commenting on it, including several people from Moms for America.
Well, cool. With your chapter, what is there a particular focus, or are you just kind of seeing who's going to show up? And
so we're growing, right?
I know you're growing.
So we just started in August of this year. So we're still trying to grow our membership, and we're doing cottage meetings. So those cottage meetings are the foundations of liberty. The first one was anchored in hope. And so
well, we desperately need that.
Right.
There's a great place to start.
So each of the 12 cottage meetings has different principles from the Constitution and the Moms for America mission. And it's a short video, and then we talk about local issues. And we usually eat together because that's important to me.
Well, no, that kind of creates a sense of community when you sit down and you share some food with people.
Yeah. So in November, we're going to have a big potluck called Mom's Giving. And that way everyone can really have just a time of fellowship.
So who can join Moms for America? Is there limits?
So it's primarily for women, but moms, grandmas, future moms, it's not limited to whether you have children or don't have children. It's a women's group. Men are able to chime in and occasionally, but we don't want them to speak for us or overshadow the mom mission, right?
Well, during this whole COVID tyranny, you saw a huge number of women step up
Mm-hmm.
to find their voice.
Right?
And our country desperately needs that.
We do.
You know,
Yeah.
men need to do that too, but there's this shocking thing. Men and women are different,
We are made very different. Yes.
and we have a little different focuses.
Of course.
That's not a bad thing. I see it as they're complementary when they work together.
It's God's design.
Yes, absolutely. So at those meetings, since one of your goals is to educate patriots, I don't remember if that's exactly the way you put it.
Raise patriots.
Raise patriots.
Our children.
Are children allowed at these meetings?
My daughter often comes, so there are people that bring their children. That's fine. They're welcome. We love kids. We're moms.
Okay, cool. As you get more people
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of understand where they want to focus, won't that kind of, because you have a pretty broad mission with this particular group.
Moms for America has a lot of facets to
Right.
it, right? So
So I was just curious if your group had started to focus in on one particular facet, or is it all just brand new and you're finding your place?
we are trying to set a foundation to start with of what our values are. Um, and I've participated in school board meetings, spoken out about what's happening in our local districts. I've gone to Clovis Unified School Board and I've gone to the Bass Lake School Board to speak about parental notification. So I hope there'll be other people who also want to speak up about school issues.
Well, thank you for coming to Clovis. I regularly, well, to be fair, during the middle of COVID with all the masking, I went to 22 in a row and I took a break. But I've been to the last 4.
Yeah. So I pulled my children out of Clovis Unified um, over masking.
Yeah.
And so I feel like going to Clovis Unified School District meetings are important.
Well, all school district meetings.
Of course, yes. But I feel a tie there, right? Having had my kids in that district for a long time. So even though I've moved out of the area, I still feel that I have an impact
Not that
there.
not that far as the crow flies.
No.
It's a pretty windy road otherwise.
Right, yeah. So now I'm a mountain area mama. So a little bit different stuff going on in that area, but you'd be surprised how much of the woke culture has come up the mountain.
That doesn't surprise me, but I think it would surprise a lot of people. They think that small towns are insulated, and they might be in some states, but not in this one.
Oh, definitely not. My daughter, when she went to public school up in the mountain area, the first day of school, they showed her LGBTQ video content, and I was shocked. So now I pulled them out of my mountain area school, and I'm homeschooling because I feel like just the culture has gone so far off course that it's important that I raise them with my values. And so Moms for America has a component of it that is educating homeschool moms, and they call it Mom to Mom, and they have a podcast or a teaching on Zoom once a month for anybody who's homeschooling.
So kind of a support network, because not all moms are going to have the same skill set.
Right.
So one might be great at math and another one's great at reading.
Yeah, it's
So you could help each other out in addition to working a program.
It's an educational forum. So they have a lot of education in a lot of different areas. I took a biblical citizenship class from Moms for America. It was fantastic. I learned a lot about my founding fathers and their faith foundation.
Right. The idea that this was founded as a secular nation, BS would be the proper response to that.
Right.
I've recently gotten into listening to wall builders,
Oh yeah.
whether we're talking Rick Green or Tim Barton or David Barton. There's one other. Who is the fourth person?
Oh,
I
good.
can't remember. Anyway, all of them at Wall Builders do a great job of talking about the history of this country, talking about the Constitution, and the integral part, the integral connection. It's like you can't separate the fact that the founding fathers were all Christian. Some of them will say they're deist. Well, they weren't atheists,
Right. Yeah.
and they were profoundly affected.
The level of faith in the culture at that time was tremendous. There were not the kinds of situations that we have today, right? So most people were very strong people of faith with strict moral values, and there wasn't a lot of the things going on that we see today in our culture.
Well, as we've gotten away from that moral fabric, and people have decided, well, the self, the I, is the most important thing.
Oh, the narcissist.
The narcissist. I think it creates a different environment. If you're religious, and I don't even know that it, even though I'm Christian, I don't know that it matters in this sense. If you're truly religious, you realize there's a higher power.
Yes,
There's
generally
something greater than you.
people of faith agree more than they disagree on social topics for the most part.
I think it gets you to where you agree because you realize that it's not all about you.
Right.
That there's something bigger and more important than you are.
Yeah.
And there's a humility, hopefully, not always,
Right.
hopefully, that will come with it.
And your creator is who gives you your God-given rights. If you don't believe in a creator, you don't understand the Constitution and that your rights come from God.
Mm-hmm. And the atheists that say, well, God shouldn't be involved at all. I would simply say, if your government granted you your rights, that means the government can do anything it wants to.
It's very scary.
Well, but it's true because there are constitutions written around the world for democracies. We're a representative republic, which I believe makes us special.
It does.
But there are democracies, and if you read that constitution, a lot of them, wow, how great, except all of those rights are granted by government. And some of these are even in communist countries. But it means nothing if the government can do anything it wants because they're not really your rights.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to if they're granted by God, nobody can take those rights.
And that's what you see in communist countries or in old Germany, that they just murdered people, right? Because the government was in control and they didn't value your life, and you didn't have a right to life like we have in our founding documents.
Well, I think that there's something that's really important in that all of those concepts that went into the Constitution, all of them, they were discussed at the pulpit. In other words, in church.
Right.
And those founding fathers got those ideas essentially by going to church and listening to pastors talk about freedom.
Right. And sermons were public, right? They printed them in the newspaper and people could read them and keep them in their homes. And wouldn't it be cool if we had public sermons nowadays that we could read? That'd be really interesting.
That would be really interesting because the written word is so different than when you see it in a video.
And you hold people accountable that way when you have a written record of what was said and what the sermon was all about. So you definitely choose your church differently if you could see everyone's sermon.
Well, so Moms from America, for America, not from America. Although I assume you're
both.
Well, yeah. They clearly want an accountability. They want to set up a situation where people understand their rights.
Right. Yeah.
And you're trying to empower people.
For sure. And they focus on limited government and for really the home and the family to be where liberty and patriotism is taught. So most of the learning that you want children to get about morals and values need to be taught in the home. The school should be teaching academics.
You're acting as if those are your children.
They are.
But that's not the liberal position. They're not your children.
Well, I
The
understand.
state should be able to tell you what to do with your children. Isn't that how?
That's a communist opinion.
Well, but Gavin Newsom seems to have that opinion.
Well, I call them like I see them. So Gavin Newsom has had some interesting bills that he's been signing lately. And I would say they don't really fit with the values of Moms for America. In general, he's pretty much been destroying parental rights and empowering the government instead of having local control over school boards and school districts. It's really important to get back to that local control and accountability by the local community. Uh, so we
Yeah.
don't see that right now.
No, he just passed a bill. I think it's AB 1078, but I'm not good with numbers and I don't have it written down. That just took away a lot of the autonomy of local school boards to make decisions. They, as they often do, hid it under, oh, we're stopping book banning.
Yeah, so the book banning issue is something that Moms for America did take on, and their position is that schools and should have the FCC rules, same like what you can't say on the radio and what you can't say on television. You shouldn't be able to put in print in the school system or shouldn't be talking about in the classroom. So if there's pornographic material that is in the classroom, that shouldn't be allowed. And so we are moms against porn in the classroom. We aren't moms against books.
So you wouldn't care whether it was an LGBTQ book or a straight book. If it's porn, it's porn.
Porn is porn, right? I don't want to hear straight porn in the classroom, and I don't want to hear gay porn in the classroom. It's pretty much the same issue.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that movies are rated, and if you're in public schools and you want your kid that's, say, not 13 to watch a PG-13, they have to send a permission slip.
They send a lot of permission slips and they do a lot of contacts with parents all day. Every day you get emails from the school for all sorts of interesting things, movies being one of the things that you approve. But they don't want to tell you if your kid is using different pronouns. Isn't that interesting?
That is highly interesting.
I
They
mean,
don't want to tell you if your kid got an abortion.
well, the Healthy California Healthy Youth Act passed in it went in. It was implemented in 2016, and that really eroded parental rights. That allows your child to leave campus without you knowing at the age of 12 to go get reproductive health care services, including abortion, birth control, and STD tests.
Yeah. Again, that comes down to they don't think they're your kids. They think that they know better.
Correct.
And that you should simply be responsible for them, feed them, take care of them day to day. And then as soon as they're at school, your rights disappear. And there seems to be an incredible arrogance that comes with that.
My viewpoint is that it's mostly about the sexualization of children and the desire to uh, usher in a lower age of consent.
They just did that in California.
Right.
So from my perspective, anybody that's okay with what just happened in California, you don't know, they just lowered the age of consent to 12. That means that if Gavin Newsom's okay with that, I consider him a pedophile.
Right.
And everybody needs to scream this one to everyone you know across the country, that Gavin Newsom's a pedophile because he's okay with 12-year-olds giving consent.
That is a really big problem in California, is the erosion of childhood. Essentially, is that children aren't really able to just be kids. they're getting sexualized in the classroom, and they're not even waiting till 12. They're doing it in kindergarten where they're sexualizing them. Then they want to expand to preschool, right? You have Blue's Clues having drag shows on their cartoons, and it's really ridiculous. We can't let our kids just play,
Yeah. They're losing their innocence. We're going to go ahead and take a break. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. I want to say thank you to everybody that's on social media. This is a worthy organization. Check them out. If you have comments, don't hesitate to comment. If you believe in the message that is being spread today, you can you can share. All of those things help this message get out there. And I believe that this is an important message about parental rights, about a group that's fighting for parental rights and fighting to change the culture. Let's go ahead and come back. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. I am joined by somebody from Moms for America. I would say chapter, but she's not saying chapter, so she won't get in trouble. But I'm going to go with the Central Valley chapter.
Oh, Eric, you're just trying to get me in trouble. Yes, Central Valley Moms for America. We are a local organization that empowers moms to stand up for their parental rights and to educate their young to be patriotic Americans. So it's a great organization. They even have children's curriculum to teach kids about the Constitution and about the founding fathers and all the great things that makes America
Can you find
different.
that like they have an online store with their website?
Yes, so at momsforamerica.us, you can find the children's curriculum. You can find Moms for America podcast, which is really fantastic. They have great interviews there. Great for when you're trying to clean the house and you can't be reading something. And then they also have events. There's a local gender confusion event coming up. And then they have what's happening in different areas. So you can find what's happening at the Central Valley group on their events page. And there's tons of great stuff. They have a lot of Zoom trainings that are open to everyone. Men, you can go to those. And
so as long as we're not too talkative, we can go and be quiet.
You can go and listen. You may make comments when it's appropriate, but we just don't want any men out there saying that we're speaking for the mothers, right? Um, you're welcome to be part of our cause. We are the organization that loves men, uh, and we love your support. Uh, but we also want to make sure mom voices are heard. It's important.
Well, again, as I mentioned during COVID, when we looked at the recall locally, it was women that
Yeah.
stepped up much more than men.
Well, we're more equipped for psychological warfare than men are. If you look to the Bible,
Okay, make this case because I want to hear this.
So if you look to the Bible, you'll see, Samson and Delilah. Definitely some psychological warfare going on there. The femme fatale, right? And then you see Esther, who freed her people, through her mind. It was her ideas that freed people, and she was informed by Malachi. But you also see, like in the story of Moses's mom rescued him, put him in a reed raft, and then Pharaoh's daughter saved him. That's all women right there. Moses would have never been Moses without the women who brought him up.
Okay, good argument. I'll give you that.
So we are the social connection, right? Moms are inherently nurturers, and we help people develop and grow. And so we're equipped to raise a nation of patriots.
And you're patient.
Sometimes.
Mostly. Compared to men, yes.
Okay, I accept.
So right now we're having you have a gender confusion seminar, is that the right word?
If you go to
event,
genderconfusionevent.com, you'll find it.
Okay. Right now there's a war going on. Started in Chino Valley. We're trying to bring it to Clovis. It's happening in other places here in California where we're demanding that if a kid decides they want to change restroom, if you know they're male and they suddenly want to go to the female restroom, they want to use the female locker room, they want to participate in female sports, they want to change their pronouns, that the school should inform the parents. Now, I agree with all that, but I think that it would be smarter to have a broad based approach to it that said any major issue, including all of those I just mentioned, the parents should be informed. You just mentioned how often the school district used to contact you about little stuff when you before your
Hmm.
kids were homeschooled.
Well, if your child's absent, you're probably going to know about it about 50 different ways. So it would be nice to know about other things that are equally important. Um, I like to know if my child is being a victim of bullying. I'd like to know, if my child is having a rough day. Maybe you could just give me a heads up because I want to be there for my child. I'm the mother, not the school district, not the teacher. They don't love my kids more than I do. I love them. They're my responsibility. If they're having a rough time, whatever the rough time consists of, I need to be there for them.
The LGBTQ faction has basically made the argument that kids have rights and that those rights supersede the rights of the parents.
You see that a lot in California. So I was a foster parent, and they have a whole bunch of rights in foster care for the children, and they don't have any rights for the caregivers who provide care to the children. So it's really interesting to see the dynamic in California of elevating the rights of children who don't really yet understand what they're even fighting for or about. A lot of times they're still developing who they want to be and what their morals and values are going to be as they get older. So it's just sort of part of the whole chaos plan, right? California loves chaos. They want criminals to be running free, committing crimes, and they want children to be voting or, making bad decisions because they're not fully developed yet. They're more easily influenced.
Well, there's no question about all that. It is interesting to me that Sacramento seems to not only think they know better, but that they think that they have so much chutzpah, so much confidence
Right.
in themselves that they have the right to tell you how to live your life.
Well, they're just going from the communism playbook, right?
Well, it's
So,
all about centralization, but they have to
right.
tear down the system
Yeah.
first.
The family, the faith practices, those are the main targets, right? Because those are the things that give you a solid foundation is being part of a faith community, being part of a family unit. Those are things that are stabilizing. They keep people from becoming homeless. They keep people from becoming a drug addict. They keep people from becoming a criminal. They are the answer to all the problems that you see in California. And so if politicians are going to fundraise and make money off of things like homelessness and crime, they're going to need to have that happening a lot. So destroying the family unit, destroying the faith practices, those are the ways to invoke chaos in your community.
Well, but I thought Gavin fixed homelessness. He said he was going to when he was mayor of San Francisco, and then there was more homeless, and then he did the same thing as governor.
So the more money you give to the government to fix a problem, you find generally that the problem increases. And so it's not a very good practice to give the government more money to fix a problem because it doesn't seem to be very effective. It might be better to entrust your faith community with improving the situation because they tend to have a better track record.
I would say so, but maybe Gavin's plan was he was trying to spread diversity, equity, and inclusion, and he wanted to make sure that every home in America, every household, had at least one homeless person to live in the yard. Because we're working towards it. Even the smallest of communities now
Well,
have homeless. He is spreading diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's the kind of man he is.
Well, we'll all be equal when we all have nothing. Um,
and we'll be happy.
that's what they tell me.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I personally like stuff, including meals, clothes, housing.
Well, how about just the stuff that you worked for and earned?
I did work hard and earn lots of stuff over my career.
But see, I think that people have every right to do that. And Gavin Newsom, and the reason I keep mentioning him is because it looks like he's running for president because the hollow husk of a man, the corrupt husk of a man, Trader Joe, up in Washington, D.C., as our president, notice I had the air quotes. Um, I don't think he's making it through. And I keep hearing the name Gavin Newsom. People need to understand just who this man is because I don't know that we could make a worse choice. I think Gavin Newsom is scarier to me than our current president because he's better at lying.
Well,
He's slicker.
he's part of the four families that control California, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's deeply embedded in the California corruption. So elevating him to a level where he can corrupt the whole nation is pretty frightening.
Very frightening.
Yeah.
Because as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. And thus, that is why I have not moved. That is why I'm like, okay, then the fight is here. I'm in
Yes.
the heart of the storm, and I'm currently sitting in one of the places where, meaning the Central Valley, where we're conservative. And there's enough population that we can begin to shift this state.
We have to remember that not only are we a conservative area, but we have to be active because we are in a liberal state. So we can't just sit around and expect our area to remain conservative. There's a lot of housing being built in our area to encourage our community to turn purple or blue. And so we have to get involved. We have to talk to our neighbors and we have to talk to other parents at school or, in our communities at church. We have to make sure that we're elevating the principles of liberty and the Constitution and that we're talking about the kind of government that we want to have and that we're getting involved in the local political landscape. It's so important to make sure that you know who you're voting for. Don't just vote for somebody who has an R or a D next to their name. Know what they stand for. Make sure it's what you stand for.
And it's easier than ever. Even though we're in a fast paced world, it's easier than ever to begin to figure out who candidates are. And the time to pay attention is now.
Right. The primary is very important. There's no point in voting in a general election if you don't have a good candidate. You have to choose the good candidate in the primary. And so many people stay home for the primary vote and they just give away that choice to the people who show up. I'd like people to join me at the polls for the primary. That's why Moms for America has a part of their campaign that is called Mom Vote, is getting moms to get up and get out there and vote.
Cool. So, do you guys also do any of the election integrity stuff or just education, or how do you approach that whole issue?
Of course, it's important to have election integrity. You can't really have a vote if it's not safe and secure, right? So that's really important. And it really depends from chapter to chapter, like what people focus on. Depends on what's going on in
You
their.
mean from group to group?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I messed it up. Okay. From group to group in your region, what the people are interested in is what you're going to focus on. So I'm happy to partner with moms in my community to focus on what they are interested in. It sounds like from what I've been hearing is that a lot of the educational issues are what people are interested in focusing on. And so we've been focusing on that, but there is room for growth. The more people that get involved, the more places we can expand to, right? So if people want to have a cottage meeting in Sanger, or they want to have one in Kings County, or they want to have one in Tulare County, we can do that. But we have to have people that are willing to step up and host, meetings in those areas if they want to have regional meetings. So we're looking for more people to get involved, And we meet on the third Monday of every month. And our meeting location is 2983 Tulare Street in Fresno. And that's on the corner of Tulare and T Street in downtown. And if you want to get involved in the larger Moms for America, it's real easy. All you have to do is text MOMS to 53445 or go to momsforamerica.us. So there's a lot out there. If you want to sit on your couch and just listen to the podcast, that's okay.
That's a start, but we don't need keyboard warriors. We need activists.
I'd prefer you come in person and join me in the fight.
One of the things that Constitutionalists for California Clovis chapter has been doing lately is we've been foregoing some of our meetings and going to other groups. So we've been to the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, I think I got that right, RNHA. We've been to their meeting. We've been to Women's Federated. We went to the NRA.
Well, you're welcome to join me anytime.
There's
Eric.
where I was hinting.
Yes.
Even if a particular group isn't your group, knowing who they are, finding like-minded people, having a discussion connects us and makes us all stronger.
It does.
I remember at the beginning of COVID, I felt like I was completely alone because late March or beginning of April, and I just can't remember, somewhere around
That was
29th or 30th or up to about April 1st is the first time I went to Blackstone and Shaw, and I'm like, there's only a few of us protesting this absolute tyranny. My God, I'm alone.
Well, it was a time of revealing, Eric. The time of COVID was a time for everything to get exposed and out in the open. And we see things a lot more clearly today than we did in 2020. And so there was a design for you to be lonely, Eric. The government wanted you to be lonely. They wanted you to be afraid so that they could control the narrative.
Yes, but I'm not that person. Thus, I'm the one out there with the sign going, I need to find more people because I can't fix this
You
myself.
broke out of the matrix.
Perfect answer to that, yes. You're doing something in the next few days that I think is important. And if more people were delegates, more people paid attention to politics at the party level, it would make a difference. So
Yes.
you're headed down to the...
I'll be in Anaheim this weekend at the California GOP convention. And there will be some pretty good guests there this weekend as well. You will be seeing that President Trump is supposed to be there.
Trump came to California?
Shocking, yes. He didn't come to California for the debate, but he is coming to California to speak with the delegates from the party. So I am very blessed to have been chosen as a delegate. It's an honor, and I take my responsibility very seriously, and I want to be really well informed. So I'm doing justice to the other Republicans in this state. So I hope other delegates will take their responsibility seriously as well.
Well, I think that if we need to fix one of the problems, this is one of several with the California GOP, but one of them is there are super delegates. I think that if you can't go down there, spend your time, show up to vote, because you're going to be asked to vote on a few things.
Yes.
You shouldn't be able to have a proxy vote.
There is a policy on the table that we'll be voting on to make it one person, one vote. We'll see if that passes or not. It is a very cost intensive thing to go to the conventions, which I think prohibits people from attending, and that's how you end up with all these proxy votes, right? So it's an interesting format that the California GOP has. We're a really big state, so it's hard sometimes for people to travel from one end to the other end. That's why they do one convention in Sacramento and one convention in Southern California. But yeah, if you're gonna rise to be a delegate, you need to show up.
And folks, if you know a delegate, you could always help pay their expenses so that if we went to one person, one vote, what a crazy idea.
Mm.
Probably should even make sure that you are who you say you are.
Oh, they do.
Ah,
ID is required.
an ID with a vote.
Yes.
I hope that idea spreads.
Yes. They don't discriminate based on color. Everyone has to show ID.
Cool. We're going to go ahead and take a break. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town. When we come back, I want to focus on we're going to finish a little bit with the convention and then hope and solutions.
Okay.
Whatever inspires you, whatever you think are the solutions to what's going on, that's what I want to go with. Let's go ahead and come back. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXEX, the best talk in town, also on 102.3 FM. Today I am joined by a political activist and frankly one of my heroes, Dawn Wells. She is active in quite a number of ways, but today she's wearing the hat of Moms for America.
Thank you, Eric.
Welcome.
I am the group leader for Central Valley Moms for America. And
Isn't that called the pack leader?
well, I mean, I'd like to have a pack. So please join me at Central Valley Moms for America on the third Monday of every month, and we can form a pack. That'd be great. A nice big Mama Wolf pack would be fantastic.
I love that idea.
Yep. So where two or more are gathered, great things happen, and we'd like to have more than two, maybe 20 or 50. That'd be great. I'd love to see the group grow. Currently, we have about 10 people involved, and we'd love to see it continue to grow and spread out along the Central Valley. Right now, we're meeting in Fresno exclusively, but we are open to having those meetings in other locations as well as the group grows.
How long has this group been in this area?
So we just started in August of
So
this year. So we're new, and we've had one cottage meeting that went over the topic of hope, anchored in hope. And then we'll be doing the rest of the 12 cottage meetings over the next year.
Well, that's exciting. So you're just right at the launch. How long has the organization been around?
So Moms for America has been around since 2004. It used to be a different name, but it evolved into Moms for America over the years. It was Homemakers for America previously, and it's been advocating for parents' rights and children since its inception, and has really grown to a large number of moms. There's 500,000 moms represented by Moms for America, and it's still growing.
Well, I think there's a lot of room for growth there.
Yeah, let's get to 1,000,000.
I think that's a good start. But
who wouldn't want 1,000,000 moms on their side?
well, and what would Sacramento if you had 1,000,000 just in California?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. That's
But
a great
if
goal.
you had 1,000,000 in California and you put out a call that you need to call Sacramento about some unreasonable bill, I'd love to see them scared. I've been up to Sacramento a couple times, and there were a couple thousand people.
I was
That's not enough to scare them.
I was recently there at the parental rights rally with Jack Hibbs, and that was the day of our launch of our first meeting. So I ran up there and then I ran back to start our meeting. But it was a great day. There was a lot of people there and great speakers, and there were thousands of people, but it wasn't enough, right? There should have been people filling every lawn because of the kinds of policies that are going on in California. And I know some people were not able to make it because of the weather and flights getting delayed. And that was an issue because of Hurricane Hillary, devastating as she is.
Well, Hillary seems to cause trouble wherever she goes.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I didn't vote for her, but there are some people who did.
Well, let's pray for them and hope that they see the light.
Yes. Yeah. I don't vote for people just because they happen to be moms or because they happen to be female. I like to choose the people I vote for based on my personal values and whether they uphold the Constitution, which is really important to me. So when you go out there and you look at the candidates that you're going to vote for, vet them carefully.
Hmm. I would absolutely agree with that. I spent a little time with Michael Maher running against Jim Costa, the dreaded Jim Costa that's passed two pieces of legislation in the 20 plus years he's been in Congress. He named a post office and he reauthorized the post office to sell stamps. That's how great a politician we have in Jim Costa. And Michael Maher is a business owner, a former FBI agent, a nuclear sub Navy. So he ran a nuclear power plant on a sub in the Navy, running against Jim Costa. And I believe that this time he has a real shot.
Well, I hope he does. It's about people getting involved and supporting him and, being the boots on the ground that everyone needs. You need to be talking to your neighbor about who you're voting for. Politics and religion are the only topics you should be talking about.
Wait, I thought they were the third rail and we were supposed to run like spineless cowards.
No, please stop talking about the weather.
Once in a while with some people where if it's the relative where you know that all you're going to do is beat your head against the wall, probably the weather's fine. But
Hmm.
if it's the relative where there's hope, where you can start a conversation about gas prices.
You can start anywhere you want. Parental rights, gas
I
prices,
know, but you can start at
the
something
economy. Yes,
non-controversial like gas prices. Everybody's mad that they're through the roof.
I hope so.
And then you just begin to try to make the case that policy is connected to those prices. It's not just the evil
Right.
oil companies.
You see, a lot of people are really waking up. People are seeing the handwriting on the wall about the policies that Democrats have put in place really harming their communities and about the widespread communism and socialism, Marxism that is infiltrated the Democrat Party. These aren't your JFKs. These are people that have gone way, way far from the American values. They don't represent anyone who ever uh, was a founding father or, put the Constitution in place. They have no ties to the Constitution. They're strictly against it. So it's important to choose your leaders based on your values. So if you value, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then maybe you should be voting for somebody who values those things too.
Well, I think the left has lost its ever-loving mind. But because they've so overplayed their hand, the culture is beginning to shift.
Right.
For me, that's tremendously important. You're seeing people that have never run for office before, just good, everyday, ordinary citizens stepping up and going, I've had enough. You're seeing citizens like yourself that went, I've had enough. It's time to get involved and make a difference. We all have a part to play in shifting the culture.
Absolutely. We need great candidates. We need people that are really going to have strong values. That's important. Michael's a great example of that. And there's a lot of other fantastic people running for office. We also need to stop splitting the vote when we have a really good candidate who has a long history of voting, well and being a great guy. Maybe we should support him instead of splitting the vote between two Republicans. We have to get better at strategic implementation of races. We need people to choose to bow out sometimes.
Agreed. Though that's hard because we don't have a liberal hive mind. Conservatives tend to be very independent. And thus it's
Absolutely.
harder to herd all of those wet, angry cats in one direction.
Yes. I mean, I love the different ideas that we have on the conservative side. It's a great spectrum.
It is a great spectrum and provides a lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Don, I thank you for sharing this time with me,
You're welcome, Eric.
and I enjoyed this conversation. This is Eric Rollins, the Constitutionalist, here on 1550 KXCX, the best talk in town. Before you, so now for the social media audience, I want you to go ahead and give contact information for both the national organization and the local organization, probably your meeting time one more time.
Okay. So you can find us on Facebook, Central Valley Moms for America. We have a group, so look under groups. And our meetings are held at the Joint Honors Military Assistance Command building located at 2983 Tulare Street, Fresno, California. That's downtown at Tulare and T Street. On the third Monday of each month at 6 p.m. You can call or text me if you'd like more information. My phone number is 559-349-0574. For the nationwide Moms for America, it's real easy. Just text MOMS, MOMS, to 53445 or visit momsforamerica.us. You can also find their podcast, pretty much any format. And our values are to empower moms, promote liberty, and raise patriots. And I hope you'll join me in doing that.
Well, Don, I thank you for this